I will be taking this realistic sculpt inspired by Zoe Saldana and transforming her into a Navi Avatar. Here I am in Zbrush with the sculpt I made based on Zoe Saldana. I'm going to transform this head into a Navi-inspired character study, specifically Neytiri. Unlike the first video, everything you're seeing here is being entirely done in Zbrush. First, I'm going to duplicate the head and the eyes. I've got my references set up in PureRef. You can see them on the side there. I keep my references gathering pretty simple. Just a few strong images is usually enough to guide the forms without turning it into an all-day reference search fest. I like to use references to establish the overall shape, scale, and the major plane changes in the face. I also do my best to match the lighting in Zbrush to the lighting in those references. I said this before in the last video. Since highlights and shadows are the clearest indicator of form and plane changes, matching lighting is a big part of my process. Most of the early work is done with Move Brush and Move Topological Brush to establish the main proportions. As I push and pull areas of the face, I try to respect the underlying anatomy. I'll move the soft tissue around the eyes and cheeks, but I'm careful not to shift the skull structure unless I have a clear reason to. This will help keep everything believable and grounded. From here, I just repeat that same pattern. I analyze the reference, match the lighting as much as I can, make the adjustments, and then once again, check the anatomy. Now, I also rotate through a lot of camera angles to make sure the forms hold up in every view possible, not just the one flattering angle that I have. Another thing that helps is changing the color of the subtool. If you stare at one color for too long, your eyes will stop noticing what is actually wrong. Switching the material and color around helps reset your perception so problem areas stand out again. I also spend time getting the eyes into a solid position early on. The eyes are a huge part of the portrait, and in 3D, the entire region from brow down to the nostrils is influenced by how the eyes sit in the head. Once the facial features are close to the final look, I start working on color and placement for the character's patterns to push it towards that final look. Now I'm going to use some reference textures very loosely here. I'm not aiming to get perfect alignment here. Most reference images have lighting baked into them, obviously, so they're not meant to actually be final textures. They're just a guide to help me establish that look. I like working in layers to build up a general skin appearance. Layers may make it pretty easy to blend, adjust intensity, and dial in the color without committing too early on. Now I do the same process for the eyes when it comes to eye color. Again, this is just a rough base to guide off of what I'm doing, and I'll build up the textures gradually through layers. And that's it. That is the approach I took for this, and here's her final look. Hope it helps you out on your next sculpt, whether you're in ZBrush or another app. The important part of the process is all the same no matter what app you're in. Bye for now.